Good morning, good morning. Welcome to the Annie and Mindy Show, the AM show. We're broadcasting live from two sides of the planet. Good morning, Annie.
Hi, and good afternoon from the PM show on the other side of the world. How are you, Mindy? I'm so excited
Great.
about being here, our second one. This is
Number two.
awesome.
Two is a
Yep,
charm.
that's right.
It's AM not because it's AM morning. It's AM because it's Annie and Mindy. You
That's
know.
right. There you go. Play on words.
How's your week?
Week has been really, really good, really awesome. It's had some kicking some really great goals with some of the clients, like really amazing stuff. So I have been rather on a bit of a high.
Oh,
Yeah.
very cool. Super cool. Yeah,
Yeah.
I've also had a very interesting week.
Yeah. Tell.
There's a lot to talk about. So you want to start with your stuff and then I'll go to my stuff. I'll start with my stuff and we'll go to your stuff and let's see what comes out of that.
Okay. So I have a lot of coaching clients, and I'm working with this gorgeous couple from overseas, and it's so beautiful to see that they are pushing through and they learning about themselves, and it is so fulfilling. I mean, I really love what I do, and and a couple of weeks ago, I felt like so I don't know what else to do here, but I just thought, no, trust the process. It's just one of those things. Trust the process and just keep going, because I don't know what's going on the other side and inside of them. So just give them the work, let them take it away, let them do it, and then if they don't, call them on it and just say, well, you've got to do the work because I won't do the work for you. And they're doing the work and things are slowly changing and they're having great wins. And I think it's so wonderful, those people that actually decide to take their life to the next level and to seek help. People do not seek help. They just don't. And that was one of my big lessons in Warrior Camp when I did Warrior Camp, and to actually ask for help, because I don't know how to do everything. And so now I have no problem asking and I have no problem in paying for people's services, because it's my appreciation, it's my exchange.
Yeah.
They're doing something that's going to better my life, so then I think I do that in return.
Yeah.
So it's really cool. And what else has happened?
Wait! Before you jump on, I think our listeners deserve to get a little bit into this, if you don't mind, because I know a little bit of the story, and I think there's a really great learning opportunity here. And one I think that you just mentioned, I think that everyone needs to pay attention to it. That trust the process. We all want to, create the wheel new. Let's see how we make fire happen again and again. But we know how to make fire, and we know how to use the wheel. So we don't have to invent it again and again and again. And you develop this really super great process. But the word here, I think the key word here is process. Changes don't happen overnight. They go, a little bit at a time, and you get bigger and higher, and then you reach an obstacle and you overcome it and you get bigger and higher and expand your knowledge, your feelings. And I think that's a really important lesson, to trust the process, whatever the process may be. Something that's known. I'm not talking about something that's unknown. Don't make it up as you're going along. But if you know something, you have something that's proven and works, like a wheel, like your methodology, it's proven, it works. So you just trusting the process, releasing into that, I think is a really, really super big deal. Super big deal. And lesson number 2, there's going to be 3 lessons here. And lesson number 2 is, if even our own, self-confidence, we know how to do things, and then sometimes we start to question ourselves. Oh, am I doing it right? Is it working?
Yep.
And that's just little voice issues that most of the time has nothing to do with reality.
Yep. Yep.
So It's really cool that you can shut them off, or maybe not shut them up, but if you see a success, then it quiets those little voices down, and you can get back into your center, back into the things that you know, stop questioning yourself, and move forward. I think those are really two big things that came out of that.
Yes, well, I think one of the things that that I was going to say is that the trusting myself, like I was really sort of concerned because I was sort of expecting a particular response, and I think it was even the facial expressions. So I went there, and then I stopped myself. I said, no. So the thing is, I'm a human being also. So, it's not like I'm perfect and I know everything. No, I don't. And if I don't go through these experiences myself and process the process and use the process on me, and so I teach from experience. I do not teach anything that I haven't experienced, because then that is just a theory.
Right.
Whereas as I'm experiencing something, I go, oh yeah, I'm having the breakthrough. And then I go, okay, I know how to guide, how to facilitate the growth of the other people. And the great thing in all of this is that I listen, and I listen to certain words that they say or certain expressions. And then I actually go away and study it. And I do the research into, because I have my perception, but it's good to see what else is out there in the ether. And I tell you what, I'm not a technologically savvy person, but I'm very grateful for technology. This Google, I tell you what, that's like my best friend at the moment. I'm Googling all sorts of stuff, and I get people to Google all sorts of stuff, and it's really great because everybody's learning. And I think that's what life is about learning. So I have learned quite a lot of things just by working with this particular couple.
Yeah.
It's fantastic. It's like win, 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 win. It's been a good week.
Oh, it's amazing. When I was learning coaching many years ago, one of the things that we learned is that you actually, and I believe this, you actually attract your clients, okay? So when we do marketing, you and I work with a lot on marketing, our intention is to attract what we call an ideal client, someone that's nice to work with, someone that is going to enjoy and value the process, someone is going to learn. I mean, there's all sorts of criteria to have a good client that is going to actually succeed in the process and value the service that we're giving. That's one side of it. But the universe has a way of attracting for us clients that are going to teach us a lesson. So it's not just on the basis of marketing and business, but there's always, that's what I find in it, always a lesson that I learn in the process that my clients go through, something that touches me, something reflects a behavior that I'm going through or someplace that I'm stuck. And it actually gives me an opportunity, like you said, win-win-win. I'm helping them, I'm working with them on their issue, but actually I learn and grow from the same exact process, which I think is super cool.
And like our mentor Blair, and we mentioned him, last time, Blair always says is that you teach what you want to master, and you learn through teaching. And I have learned so much just by working with this particular couple. I have worked with other couples before, and then I work with individuals, but this one is just bringing up some really key things. And the interesting thing with that is that I'm experiencing some of those things in my life, and I'm going, this is so uncanny. Like, it's really uncanny. And talking about process, we had a bit of a messaging last weekend, we talked last week, and you were telling me you had this big, sort of, not a breakthrough, but you helped one of your clients using some of the processes that I learned from an event that I went to, that I used in something else, shared it with you. Now you shared it with somebody else. Right. And then your lesson came back to me. And now I actually helped the client today with that process because of how you used it on that person.
Wow.
So this is like, it's talking about precision and the, what do you call it? The
ripple effect.
Thank you. The ripple effect. Oh, sometimes the English gets the
We
better of
learned
me.
in the same school.
That's right. So the ripple effect, right? And I was so excited, like the way the conversation went today with one of my clients, and then I got her to do that process. So should we share some of that process?
Absolutely. I think we should get down and have everything be very transparent. So
Okay, I'm sure they'll be going, so what's the process?
Yeah.
So there's lots and lots of tools in our toolbox, lots of processes that we've learned from lots and lots of different teachers and trainers and facilitators, like Blair and Robert Kiyosaki and Tony Robbins and DeMartini and all these well-known teachers that change people's lives.
Changed our lives.
And their processes changed our lives. So now we're using those processes. So we picked them, but this particular one, do you want to talk about it?
Sure. I'll talk about the way that it transpired, the whole deal.
Yeah, cool. Yeah.
Okay. So, it's almost a year ago, Annie, that you were in Date with Destiny with Tony Robbins. In December, it is going to be a year. Wow, gosh. And I remember that you coming back from that, and we were talking about something in your methodology, and you're saying, I learned this really great process that Tony does on values.
Yeah. Yes.
And I want to incorporate it in my methodology. It's such a great process. And I remember you telling me that, but we had never gone through it over the years. And then in about a month ago, it was Annie and I. We were also working on in a group of women called Women Leading into the Future, where we're making this this presentation, this 2-day seminar that we'll be presenting very, very shortly with another group of women. We're a group of 10 women from all over the world, trying to help other women create leadership, become leaders in their home, in their community, and in their business. So anyway, long story short, Annie does for us the process of values as she learned from Tony Robbins. So I'm gonna. Do you have your values with you, Annie? You have your 10 values.
My values.
Yeah.
Now you got me.
Well, I have mine. So I'm just gonna say, Annie brought us through this really super great process where we were able to determine our 10 most important values. Okay. And I'm going to share with you in a second mine, because I was so impressed with the process that I actually typed them out and I have them in front of me, my values. So my 10 most important values are family, compassion, contribution, integrity, gratitude, commitment, spirituality, growth, optimism, and nature. Those are my 10 values. But what Annie had done when she brought us through this process that was super special was she had us go through a process and write down 10 values, and then we had to prioritize them. Oh my God, that is when actually the magic happened. Because when you're making your list of priorities, you're making a list of anything, you're thinking, I guess you're thinking superficially. You're going through the steps and not really thinking about the depth of the question that was raised. So when she said, what are your most important values, and put them in order of importance, I said, okay, it's this, and this. But then she gave us a tip for setting the priorities. She said, okay, take your values and ask yourself, big deal, right? Ask yourself a question. Is this value more important than that value? And I went through each one of them. Matter of fact, I was your guinea pig, Annie, when you did it with the Women Leading into the Future.
And maybe I get this out. Yeah, keep going.
Okay, so I was your guinea pig when we did it live as a group together, and she told them. So is contribution more important than compassion? I was like, no, compassion is more important than contribution. Then she asked me, is compassion more important than integrity? I said yes. Okay, and then how it came up. Then my third or my fourth value on the list that I created was family. So she said, Mindy, is family more important than compassion? I said, absolutely. And I was shocked, because compassion, I thought, was my first and foremost. And then she says, is family more important than contribution? Absolutely. And then we went through the process, and I understood, and I started crying, because it was so obvious that family was more important than anything in my life for my values. And when I didn't explore it, when I didn't analyze it, it was not, and when I just came off the top of my head out of importance, it's important, but, other things are more important. And when I did her process, it's like, wow, no, my list of priorities totally changed. And I had a lot of breakthroughs. I was crying. I was so overwhelmed with emotion and understanding about myself that I started crying. Okay. It had a big effect on me. So then I get to, I'm working with a client at the beginning of the week on, I think it was on Tuesday. And my client was talking about how she's involved in so many things, a matter of time. And she's analyzing her time, and she's involved with so many things that she didn't have time to do the homework, that I had assigned her. That's how they came up. So what I did with her, it was like a brainstorm. All of a sudden, Annie, I said, oh, Annie just did this great process with me. I'm prioritizing values. I'm going to see if I can work with this woman and see if she can prioritize her time. And then I did the same thing with her. I asked her to write out the 10, hats, 10 projects she's working on, 10, different hats that she wears in her life, like hats like Stephen Covey calls them when he talks about the 7 habits of highly effective people.
Highly effective people.
Yeah, great book, by the way. And so she told me,
the program is amazing.
Yeah, I didn't do the program, but I read the book quite a few times. And so she listed, she's a mother and she works and she has her own business and she has these support groups that she creates in the community, all these things that she has. She got to 9 things. And then I went through the process, what's more important? And this was nice for you, Annie. And it came out that when we went through the process, her number one thing of importance is self-growth. I don't remember the words she used, but that was the thing. Growing as an individual. And number 2 was her relationship with her husband. And what she had told me is that a lot of times when she has a conflict of what she has to do, a lot of times her husband and her children would come second, even though they're very important to her, because, you have to get things done and people are relying on her. And when she saw it in front of her eyes that her relationship with her husband is even more important than her relationship with her children, she had to step back and say, oh my God, that's what I want to do. When I'm spending my time and I have a decision to make, became so obvious to her priorities. And also I'm working with her on her money. And when she started analyzing, she had to explain to herself why, money was number 4 on her list, organizing her money and what effects it would have. And it helps. Wow. Yes, this is what I can do. And when I start to arrange my money, all these other wonderful things are going to happen to me. And she became very, very clear on her priorities of time, using the very same process that you had taught me about prioritizing my values. So it was really super cool.
Thank you. Yeah. And then when we spoke, and then you explained this to me, I had this like a mini aha that's really big, because I thought, oh, of course I can use it on other things, not just on values. So it's a great way of prioritizing. And then because I do a lot of goal setting with my clients, and sometimes I get them to write 5 goals in each area of their life, because like you don't just set goals in one area. A lot of people set goals just in their career, but then they're missing out on the rest of their life, and they don't know why they don't have good relationships and why they are not healthy, because they're not concentrating on all aspects of their life. So when you said that to me, I thought, so I get them to do like 5 goals in each section. And then I normally ask them, okay, so have a look at it. Which one is the one that jumps out, that will make the biggest difference to you? And then I thought, and they usually struggle with that, right? And then I have to coach and ask, because they give me the answer, and I know I kind of feel that it's not the answer. And then I ask that question. And this is the question. So what has been more important for you to feel? That or that? Right? So that's it. It's a simple question. What has been more important for you to feel? Because most people think the answer. The answer is inside. The answer is in your soul, in your spirit, in your, there. That's the truth. That's the, the intuition, as they say. And your truth is in here, but most people think and give the answers from here. Now, of course, these two need to be congruent, right? And then it's whole and complete, right?
Yeah.
So then I thought, when you told me that, what time was it? I think it was 1:00 in the morning, my place. And I couldn't sleep. I was like, oh my God, I'm so excited. I'm going to use it next time. I didn't know when the next time is going to be. And then today when I coached one of my clients, she had this list of goals, and it was uneven. So if it's uneven, it can't be uneven, because it's like the legs of a table or a chair. If it's uneven, it's kind of like this.
Yeah, that's what causes frustration.
Yeah, so I said to her, you know what? Use this process. So I gave her the question. So that's her assignment for next week. It doesn't matter how many she has. I said, but what I need you to do, because all of them are good goals that she would eventually want to have. So that's fine. She's done the list. But now I said, you got to go through all of these and put them in sequence from 1 to 5. And then all we're going to do is we're going to work on the top 5 in each area. And that is going to let her know which is the first one in each area. And then she will use that same process to work out which is the one that she really, really needs. Because you can only concentrate on one thing at a time. However, when you do that, everything else works out, right? So I was so pumped. I was just going, I can't wait to speak to Mindy to tell her, I used it too. It goes around, comes around. So thank you, Tony Robbins, for your process. It's such a good question. Which one feels better, that or that?
Yeah.
And if people really can't connect, I tell them to close their eyes and really feel it. And they just go bam, bam, bam. Great.
It's really very emotional. Yeah, I guess because you're feeling it, you're coming from your center, from your heart. And I like to say, when you do something from your heart, truly from your heart, you actually expand, because you're talking from your center. You expand, and just think about it physiologically, because when you expand from your center, from your heart area, from your chest, it also opens up your lungs. You can breathe. You can breathe better. You can breathe deeper. Oxygen flows better in your system. It's a whole different context of thinking and feeling when we do it from our center. Really, just think about it. When you say you subconsciously, you tell people to close their eyes and think about it. Think about also when you're thinking about something from your heart, close your eyes and see what you feel in your body. Feeling is not just a feeling of emotion. Feeling most usually has a physical ramification. When you feel, and that's even the language that we use. How do you feel? Yep. Where do you feel it? Ask yourself that. Where do you feel it? How does it feel physiologically? How does it feel physically in your body? And you can get a lot of answers. It's like if something is good for you, is a positive, if your intuition is right, all those things, think about where you feel that. And if you're feeling it in your head, or if it makes you not feel good, then that's not really the right thing for you. So you always close your eyes, see where you feel. If you're feeling in your chest area, in your heart area, like you said, that's where your intuition is. That's what opens you up and makes you expand. So the feeling is feeling emotionally, feeling physically, and that's actually where the breakthrough happens. That's when we start to connect to the bigger us, to the higher us.
Yeah.
That's a little too spiritual for us for this talk, but that's what it is. We're all spiritual beings, so you have to think of it in a really holistic way.
Yep. So that's a pretty, I would call it a pretty yummy process.
Yeah, it is. What I'm gonna like to ask our audience, if any of you out there want to do either the values process that we had gone through, or the goal setting process, you're welcome here to write in the comments below values or goals or both of them. And we'll see how we can get in touch and help you go through that, because they're both super duper powerful processes that get you in alignment with yourself and really quickly actually starting to achieve things that you've always thought that you wanted, or you put them someplace in the back of your mind and didn't know the steps to get them done. And once they have clarity in those issues, a lot of things start to happen. You know, one of the words you talked about, Nanny, is precession.
Yeah.
I don't know if we have time to go into what exactly precession is, but it is like this. What?
4 minutes.
We have 4 minutes. So in 2 minutes, precession is when you are on target, when you're actually doing the right thing for you, going on target towards some goal that is real for you, that is coming from what's called a heart-centered place that we're talking about. It actually has ramifications in your environment. It has what Andy called before the ripple effect. It starts to affect your environment in very, very positive ways and affect you in positive ways. So to have that clarity, that heart-centered goal, to know where you are going to, that's right for you at this moment in time, actually is going to change your whole environment. It's going to uplift you, the people in your life, and a lot of good things are going to happen around you. And that's precession. That's precession. Another word for it might be precession. If when you're going towards your target, it creates this ripple effect out in your environment. So if you want to do either the goals or the values process with us, we would so be happy to share.
Yeah, and you know, like the values, like I remember when I started my personal development, and I remember, I think it was Mac Newton, who asked me, he said, what are your top 5 values? And I went, I didn't even know what they were, you know? So it's so important to know what are your fundamental principles, right?
Right.
And when I ask people, they have the same reaction. So what I learned from that is that when I get upset, I know why I get upset. Because if integrity or, you know, like truth or honesty, whatever you want to use, if that is being rattled, you know, if somebody is lying to me, I get really upset. Don't lie to me. Just don't lie to me. And especially if I caught them out and I know that they're lying and then they're still lying and I'm going, you've got to be kidding me. And then that takes me into, well, I don't think that they respect me if they actually have the audacity to lie. Right? Yeah. That's so values is one of those things when you're going to really understand what moves you, what's your underlying principles of behavior. And a lot of people say, when I ask them, what are your values? Oh, loyalty and honesty. I said, that's something that you want from another individual. That's actually not your underlying value. It's how you want other people to treat you. What you've got to know is how do you show up? What's your principles of showing up in the world?
Oh, right? That's beautiful, Annie. I love that definition.
Thank you. And then the other side is like the goals. Well, you know, people wish lots of things. Now, a wish is a goal with that energy behind it. You got to set goals. And, you know, like New Year's Eve is coming, right? So the new year is coming fairly soon. So everybody's going to do their New Year resolution, right? And then after about a month, they give it up. A New Year resolution is something that sits there for the rest of your life. It's something that you want, but you need to attach goals to it to actually achieve your resolution. So that was a word that I learned. I looked up in the dictionary and then I kind of went, oh, okay. So that's what resolution is versus goals. So you got to create goals to get your resolution. So resolution never stops, right? So there you go. So goal setting is important because it gives you clarity, but goal setting creates the change inside of you. Changes the change inside of you. You change by achieving your goals because then you feel pride, fulfillment, and so forth. So I think it's the key thing that we both do with our clients. We do the values and we do the goals, and then we do everything else.
I just don't do it just with my clients. Every 6 months, we go through a process of redefining what we call the most definite purpose, which is our key goal, that if we achieve that in the next 6 months or we go towards that goal, it will have the most ripple effects in the rest of our goals in our lives. So maybe we'll talk about that. Anyway, anyone who wants to do that process, they can actually reach out to us. We would love to do it with you. It's a great process.
Well, we can definitely talk more about values and goals, you know, and for people to really understand how important it is in their life to have that. I couldn't live without my goals. And then the code of honor, oh my, that's a big one. And I believe this couple that I'm coaching, I believe the code of honor might save their marriage.
That's amazing. Maybe next week we can talk a little bit about what a code of honor is, because that's also very foundational. You know,
Oh, yeah.
values, goals, code of honor. That's also
it's one of the steps
of how you act.
You know, and it's just setting up pouring the concrete, the foundations for the relationship, just like a house. You pour the concrete. Cool. All right, time's up.
Yeah.
So thank you everybody for listening. I hope this was informative, and I hope that it started to get things moving for some of you. And if you want us to assist you in any shape or form, we're here.
We're here. Okay, love you all. Take care. Bye.
Thank you, Mindy. Much love. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.